Caballeros is probably much better known than Saludos Amigos, but to be fair, they're not that much different. True, in comparing the two, there does seem to be a lot more passion thrown into this one. It's longer, there's more energy, and as far as their basic cartoon animation goes, this is some of their best. I mean, the motion and the line work just leaps off the screen sometimes. Look at how fast they're going. But much like Saludos Amigos, there isn't really a story. Or, well, in about as much as it's just Donald opening some presents. Yeah, that's the story. Isn't that riveting? He gets a package on his birthday, which it turns out is Friday the 13th. Bet you didn't know that. And each present, it turns out, is a presentation on some place he's never been to before. And like the last film, there's shorts, there's songs, there's Donald Duck acting like Donald Duck. And at first I was kind of getting into it. I was kind of enjoying all the randomness mixed in with the music and, like I said, that really fast-paced animation. And the stories were a lot more memorable too. There's one about a penguin trying to get to a warmer climate, another one about a burro who can fly. But then the stories sort of stop and we get that green parrot again. Him and Donald look around Brazil a bit, they dance, they sing, they have fun, I guess. And then he opens the last package and we have that woodpecker thing? I'm not sure what he is. But he comes out to sing about Mexico. And literally, the last third of this movie is just Donald fawning over a woman, or women, and just trying to get somebody to tickle his tail feathers. 2/3 of the movie is pretty much like just being at a party. Which at first sounds awesome, but at some point you kind of want to leave that party and find something else. Or talk to somebody, or take a breather, or I don't know, but there's only so long you can do it. And that's the problem with this film. After a while, it gets tiring. The animation continues to impress, as well as some really good live-action mixing. But you're just sort of watching people dance most of the time. And for a few minutes it's fine, but for a whole second half of a movie, it gets pretty old pretty fast. Then we just cut to the three of them acting goofy in abstract land again. They jump around, shoot some guns, fire off some fireworks, and that's it! That's the movie! Fun? There's a lot of things I really like about this film. I like a lot of the scenes, I like a lot of the animations and the short stories, which is why I hate it so much when I see it all together, because it suddenly becomes boring. This is one of those movies where on the Disney Channel they would chop it up and they would just show it as little shorts on their cartoon shows. And that's really where it belongs. I can't see this really functioning as a film. Maybe if they went for more of a Cirque du Soleil thing, or kept a little bit more focus, or even lack of focus, just something that went all the way. Here, it seems like they kind of want to do short stories, and now they kind of want to do it as one long party, and now they kind of want to make it educational, but now they kind of want to make it silly. The only thing that's consistently good, as I said before, is the animation, which is really stylized and fun. But for me, I don't think that holds the film. If you want to see it just for the motion and the cool drawings, I'd say maybe check it out. But even then, that's a big maybe. There's other Disney films that do animation better, and they have good story and characters to go along with it, so I'd probably just recommend those. But if you're curious enough, it does have some good moments. Take that for what it's worth. It's ironic that Disney decided not to do any more of the Fantasia series because for the next couple of films, they'd be trying endlessly to try and recreate it. Make My Music was probably the first attempt to try and do that. It follows sort of a similar formula to what Three Caballeros was doing, just tying together a series of shorts with a certain kind of music. Although in Three Caballeros, where they had a character at least tying the stories together, though loosely, this one, they just show the shorts. Again, much like Fantasia. Except the music isn't classical music, it's more music that was popular at the time. In fact, some of it, if I understand correctly, was left over from Fantasia. The animation for Blue Bayou actually makes it into this one, which was originally supposed to be featured in a sequel to Fantasia. Except instead of using the classical music, they used the song instead. Later, the original would be released on DVD, and it's a lot better. Make My Music is probably closer to what Three Caballeros was trying to be. Sort of a fun series of short stories that were very loosely tied together with one theme. In this one, you guessed it, it's music. Though some classical does make it in, for example, we do have Peter and the Wolf, though it does have a narrator as well, but it works okay. We also have a short that really seems to have nothing to do with music. Remember the cartoon Mighty Casey Up to Bat? Yeah, it's from this. It's a great story and it's hilarious, but what's it have to do with music? Is talking and rhyming really the same? Well, however you want to take it, it's still great to watch. Here the short stories work a lot better. Some just create atmosphere, others tell a full narrative, and they're all pretty solid. I can't think of any part I particularly didn't like. Favorite moments include Casey, again Peter and the Wolf, but by far my favorite is the singing whale, with all the singing voices done by one person throughout the entire thing. That is awesome.
For whoever heard of an operatic whale? I don't believe it! I don't believe it.
I know a lot of people probably haven't seen this cartoon, so without giving anything away, let's just say that sad face? Yeah, big clue. It's another one of those bittersweet moments that probably leaves a few kids confused, but I like that. It wasn't totally sad, but it's definitely not happy either. And on top of that, you're getting some great music. And one of a great singer. Modern to classic to jazz, they cover a pretty impressive gamut. And while nothing hits quite as potent as Fantasia does, it is still pretty enjoyable. This is another example of a bunch of cartoons that were taken from this movie and then chopped up into shorts, and there's a reason. They work really well. So, if you ever want to see them all together, check this movie out. It's a good one. Fun and fancy-free. Only one thing could be gayer than that title. And there he is. Yeah, as I said before, I'm not a huge fan of Jiminy Cricket, but luckily he doesn't have that much to do in this. Just like the other films, there's no one story, but in this there's not really a bunch of them either. There's only two. And Jiminy Cricket, for whatever reason, hosts them. It's strange that they would actually call this movie fun and fancy-free instead of just the two titles. It's not like Make Mine Music where if you listed all the titles there wouldn't be enough room. Here there's only two. Bongo and Jack and the Beanstalk. Heck, that's a shorter title than Ichabod and Mr. Toad. They could have done it. But heck with that, how do the stories hold up? Well, as the other Disney stories go, even for the short ones, it's nothing that special. They're okay though. The first one is called Bongo, and it's about a bear who used to work in the circus but escapes to live in the wild. He finds he doesn't quite fit in, but things change when he comes across a female bear. But then he gets confused when she starts beating the out of him. But then the movie so colorfully tells us that the way bears show that they love each other is beating the out of each other. Makes sense to me. Yeah, even as a kid I thought that was a little weird, and I'm still not sure I buy it now, but it makes for a cute song.
Every pigeon likes to coo when he says I love you, but a bear likes to say it with a slap.
And that's the best way to describe the first short. Cute. I really liked it as a kid, but looking back, it does go on a little too long. If they were gonna do this and make it work, they should either make it its own movie with much more characters, or make it a lot shorter. Then there's a really weird transition where Jiminy Cricket is somehow invited to a party. A party where puppets come to life and strange, creepy men do weird sounds with their hands. And the parents are nowhere to be seen. Yeah, this would not fly today.
You know, Ophelia, you look so sweet.
What'd you say?
I think you look so sweet.
Yeah.
But that segues into Jack and the Beanstalk, the first appearance of Mickey Mouse in any movie since Fantasia. And believe it or not, the last time you'll ever hear Walt Disney do his voice. We also get Goofy and Donald into the mix, as it's pretty much just the straightforward story of Jack and the Beanstalk, not really any major differences. I say the only thing that really stands out about it is the giant, who is sort of this enjoyable doofus. And they added this really weird plot device where he could change into anything. Isn't that strange? He's already a giant, why do you have to give him more magical stuff? Being a giant's enough. On top of that, they don't really do anything with it. There's a whole chase scene at the end where he's trying to get him, but wouldn't it just make more sense if he turned into a cheetah or something? The film doesn't quite have the flow or creativity that Make Mine Music had. And to be honest, I don't know what the connection is with all these things. You have Jiminy Cricket, then a bear from a circus into the wild, then a creepy man with puppets, and then Jack and the Beanstalk. How's it all tied together? Individually, they work okay, as cartoons, but I don't think there's enough of them to really warrant a film. Or if they did pick two, they'd have to do ones that are particularly unique or particularly cinematic, and neither of these really aren't. Again, they're not bad, they're just not anything that special. But they have their own charm and likability to them, so I guess they work out. I'd say it's probably better just to rent them individually and skip the middle parts, but that's just me. If it looks good to you, you'll probably like it.